Welcome, everyone, to Season 2 of Murder in Stratton County. The mystery saga continues with even more murder, mischief, and mayhem. Written by Elizabeth Spoon and Rylan Mason. Narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Episode 10. The Killer. Late summer had finally come to Stratton, as the days were getting warmer, and the storms would be severe. Like the storm that was brewing, as we speak. Brian stirred in bed, tossing himself from his right side to his left, as he could hear the thunder rumbling in the distance. As he peered his eyes towards the windows, subtle flashes of lightning lit up the bedroom. Looking over at the clock, it was 5:15. Jordan was still fast asleep. No point just laying here, he thought as he quietly slipped out of bed. Showered and dressed for the day, Brian decided he would talk with Patricia about his expectations along with a tour. He was very particular when it came to the way the house should be cleaned, what should be cleaned, and how it should be cleaned. His grandmother always said, "Cleanliness is next to godliness." Keep the home that way, and you wouldn't have to worry about people touching your things. They would be afraid they would break something. "Good morning, Mr. Shepard. I have coffee and breakfast for you in the dining room if you like," Patricia said, as he ran into her on the way to the kitchen. "Brian, please, did you say coffee?" as they both turned and walked into the dining room. Brian never really used this space, as it was always just him in the house. That and the table sat 12 people. He would have Prudence bring his meals either into the drawing room or parlor. Eggs, bacon, toast, and sausage were found on the sideboard, along with coffee or tea. The drapes were drawn back, and it seemed, with the room lit up, it was cleaned. Recently, it would seem, as he noticed the furniture had been polished, new linens and table settings were placed, paintings that hung on the walls had been dusted. "You seem to have been busy this morning," Brian said as he made himself a plate, as Patricia poured him a cup of coffee. "I wanted to get a head start, so I started in the kitchen and dining room. I also cleaned the back staircase," she replied, stepping away from the table. "I have a feeling that I don't really need to explain how to do the job, as you clearly already know. However, if we are to use this room, then the floors need to be done, and I can clearly see Billy Bob and Joe dangling from the chandelier, just waiting to land on the table," pointing to the two spiders in their webs in between the cut glass and the light bulbs. "Yes, Brian, I meant to do that and vacuum after breakfast, so as not to wake you, as I found the cleaning supply closet with what I need. No worries, more to do. Enjoy your breakfast," she said as she walked out, as Jordan walked in. "Ah, you are in here. I thought I heard voices," Jordan said as he walked up to Brian, giving him a kiss on the cheek. "Wow, this all looks good. She cooked all this?" he asked as he made his plate and sat next to Brian. "She wanted to get a head start." "What do you think?" Brian asked as he motioned his arms to show off the room. "Not bad. This is good bacon, by the way," Jordan said as he chomped away at his bacon. "Eat up, cowboy. Our ride will be here soon, as I have a meeting to go to at the courthouse. I'm meeting the new judge who came into town late last night. She's down on Walker in Maine." "Oh boy, I feel sorry for her already. Kevin for a neighbor? I'd go insane." Before Brian could respond, His cell phone was going off. It was Dugan. "Hello, Dugan. I know I have to be at the courthouse. Darby should be here." "We have our suspect, Brian, and you're not going to like this." Hearing the gulp at the end. Looking over to Jordan, Brian placed the call on speakerphone, stopping Jordan from digging into his eggs. "Can I just say that I am sick of you calling me with bad news, my friend? It's getting old and fast. You could have just left out the part where I would not like it and just went for it and said it. Then I can be mad. So, what is it this time?" Brian asked, even though, again, he didn't want to know. "I miss the good old days where I was calling you just because I was bored. However, our investigation has led us to a person of interest. When we went to her home, she was already gone. We are currently searching for her as her car is still in the driveway." The sheriff went on to tell him what led them to suspect it was her, a person who he had known personally. "What? I don't understand. Is this a joke?" Brian asked, as he was clearly confused. "Sorry, my friend. We'll talk more when you come down." "Thank you, Sheriff. See you soon," Jordan responded as he hit the end button. "You okay?" Jordan asked. "No, I'm even more confused. For some reason, I find it funny, as I would have never have thought," Brian said, as he got up from his chair. Darby had pulled in. Time to go. The ride into town was quiet, after getting news like that, even before leaving the house. What more could he say? It's now a sucky kind of morning. No thanks to her. Brian was dropped off first, who was then escorted into the building. He was brought upstairs through the back to the judge's chambers. This is not the meeting he thought he would be having with the new judge. Even though Prescott appointed her to this district, it was still customary to have the mayor swear in the new judge. That would have to wait. "Good morning, Your Honor," Stephanie said as soon as Brian walked in. "Good. Oh my God. Steph, what are you doing here? Wait, you're the new judge?" Brian asked as Stephanie smiled as they both hugged. Now this had everyone looking confused. "What? We went to college together," he said as Winchester cleared her throat and began to explain the details of the case. At the end, it was decided to issue an arrest warrant for... "Sorry, Director, yet it seems she has found a good spot to hide in," an agent said who just walked in. "Have the team search the area, including all structures. She could not have gotten far. Sorry, ladies and gents. It seems I have a manhunt on my hands," Valerie said as she got up from her seat and walked out with the agent. "I'm heading back to the house. This day just keeps getting worse," Brian said as he said his goodbyes and headed back down the stairs, out the back, and into a waiting cruiser. He didn't even look when getting into the car. Too busy texting his doctor boyfriend about what to have for dinner. Should have looked. It wasn't Darby driving. It was decided that Ryan and Gemma ride together up to Barton Hill Farm. The day had arrived for him to finally see the inside of this magnificent house. On the way up, Ryan asked if she knew any of the history of the house. "Well, I know it's old. It was built at the same time as the mayor's place. Mr. Barton used it as a funeral home until his death. So, pretty much everyone in the early years had their service in this house. After that, it was just used as a family home as it passed down the line. Have you heard anything about it being haunted? Not that I can recall. I'm just helping a friend who is the lawyer of the family. I was just wondering, as the price is not normally this low for a house this size, if it's haunted, then it drives the price down, as no one wants to deal with that sort of stuff. Oh, and are you saying you wouldn't mind if it was haunted? Gemma asked as they pulled onto the road leading up to the house. Not in the least, Ryan answered, as his eyes saw nothing but beautiful sunflowers waving in the wind as if to say hello and welcome. Yet, as they got closer, Ryan could tell there was a difference, as the trees and forest surrounding the house were tall, a ton of branches, no leaves, as they seemed to all be dead. A fog danced in the air as to fill in the dead trees. It was also darker, no sun, which was odd, as it was sunny on the way up. Getting out of the car, Ryan immediately noticed that the front gardens would have to be replanted, and the water fountain needed some restoration help. The front was filled with nothing but dead plants, overgrown weeds, and a fountain filled with moss and bird droppings. Looking up, he noticed a murder of crows, just chilling on the roof ledge, just staring at him. The noise of Gemma's keys rattling broke his thoughts as she fought to find the right key for the door. Finally, hearing it unlock, they were in. As the hunt continued for the murderer, no stone was left unturned, as every property had been searched. The only place left was the old Jones farm, Jordan's place. Director Winchester and her team checked out the property. However, due to the storm, they could only use the main entrance. Rainwater had flooded out parts of the back road that led to the barn. Yet she was determined to make sure it was searched, as men in wetsuits and heavy vehicles went down the road. The barn where poor Maria was found was searched first. The team was told that Jordan had just left, as he simply checked on the horses for the night. The barn was empty, except the horses. The team even checked inside of Jordan's house. The team also reminded to make sure to lock up when finished. The storm was getting worse. Valerie, wet and miserable, was about to call it off for the night when lightning flashed in the sky, bright enough for her to notice something in the distance. "Did we search down that field?" she asked as she waited for another flash just to make sure. "Yes, Director. We were told the field is used for cows, as you can see," the agent said. "I swear I saw what looked like a rooftop." "Get Jordan on the phone." "Jordan, it's Winchester. Do you have any other structures on the property other than the barn?" Oh, yeah. There's a one-room building at the far end of the property. I don't go out there." That's all she needed to hear, as she literally hung up on him. "You, get someone to clear these cows. Have the team focus on that end of the property. We need to get to that building," Valerie said, as more flashes of light cracked across the sky, revealing what in fact was a rooftop. The killer might be hiding there. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to this season of Murder in Stratton County. Season 3 will be coming soon. In the meantime, I believe it is a fun and cool idea to follow Ryan Green's story as he is about to embark on a creepy and haunted adventure. A Haunting in Stratton is the next series I will be doing, along with Found on the High Seas, which is the fourth and final story for On the High Seas series. Thanks again, everyone, for your support and listens. Thanks for listening to another episode of Murder in Stratton County. Until next time, an R. Mason Media production, 2023.